Now this is a machine that they stopped making before I was even born. It's called a Mansfield. And this is an editor that's very, very old school. Now it came in a box. It was probably worth a few weeks' wages back in the day. It's got these rocker arms that you spin out. Screw that back in. Tough without an assistant. Let me just set this down for a sec. Now when you watch reality TV shows, they're doing frame-by-frame changes about every 15 seconds, which as technology advances we can afford to do that. Unfortunately, because I'm filming by myself, I just want to show you the progressive mistakes that I make because I am filming by myself. So that's the first rocker arm. Now, one of the common problems when you're getting video up to the internet is people just quit if they fail. File failed to upload and then they just give up. Or if they're editing and their computer crashes, well, guess what? You lost your day because you were working off of electronic media like an SD card, which is the size of a standard thumbnail now. So the way this works is back in the day, you had a camera and you had a box of film that looked like this called Kodachrome. On this box, it's got prepaid Canadian postage for 14 cents. So we know this thing is pretty old, right? So what you had to do was take your little wind-up camera into a dark bathroom or something. So this is actually from October 1971. So this is almost as old as I am. So we take it out. As I fumble here. I don't want to rip the box. So here we are. Now this thing weighs about 4 ounces. It's got tape all around it. If you expose this to light, it'll burn the silver halide on the film. Okay, so you had to do this in the dark and load it into your camera. Then when you were done with it, you actually had to send it away. Now we have our cell phones and our little mini cameras. We can take media and we can get it up to the internet almost instantly. But when I find people are uploading media, they give up. They give up editing, or they give up their upload because the computer crashed, or they got frustrated, or they weren't using the right tools. Now back in the day, with film like this, you had to have everything perfect. Your lighting, your aperture settings, you know, the weather couldn't be too cold because it was a spring operated camera. Okay. Then what you had to do when you were done is you had to mail it away, and it took about 2 weeks to develop and then another week to get back. So you're talking about a month before you could actually see your media. Then once your media came back, you would load up your Mansfield machine, and it came with this, which is a quick acting, non-buckling, does not go on thick glue, okay, called Cinefilm Cement. Now we can just go through with our Mac or our Windows Media Maker and we can just cut video, you know, just right on the computer. Back in the day you actually had to use this little plate that had this little knife, and you had to cut each frame and glue them back together. So this all ran through here and you would use your glue. Okay. So really, really incredible how things have changed. And they're changing rapidly. A year ago I was using mini DV tapes, and now they're almost obsolete. Before that it was digital 8, before that it was 8mm Digicam, and then we had VHS-C, before that we had VHS, before that we had Beta. So all of these things are you know, rapidly changing, and they're getting cheaper all the time. This thing probably costs about 3 times what a multiprocessor computer would cost now. So I'm just going to run you through how this thing worked. Okay, so you see the arms, and it was a plug-in unit. So after your film came back developed, came back in a reel like this. Okay. And these things are just loaded with static. And this is 8mm film that had to be developed, and it worked frame by frame. So we put this on here, like that. And this one on here. And then we have to very carefully roll it through here. And the thing is it's got little mirrors that send up a reflection through the eyepiece here. So you're waiting a month to find out that your film was hyper exposed, and you've got no control. You can't change the color on this thing once it's in place. Okay. The light bulbs, the screws. This machine weighs about 30 pounds. It's made out of like total cast iron, right? So we've got it run through. We'll put it through all the gears. But this is how your daily newsreels used to come out in your cartoons, and this is frame by frame. Each one of these is an individual shutter frame that was taken. So then we plug it in, and the lamp, just the power that this thing uses is crazy. So here we've got a very dusty lens. And in this particular video, we've got a little salmon scene going on here. You see my reflection more than you see. But we're reeling this through, and it's going frame by frame by frame. So you pretty much had to work in this thing, with this thing in the dark to see what you were doing. So this particular fellow is catching a salmon. So when you wanted to delete a part, you would put it out here on this plate and then cut it off. Okay. So again, it took a month to come up with a really substandard quality 8mm film that you used on your camera. And this equipment back in the day, geez, probably close to my first Mac setup probably cost me 10 grand, so probably close to the same thing in terms of wages back into the time frame that this was. So if you're going through a rummage sale or a garage sale and you see something like this, don't throw it away, because sometimes people find incredible footage of events that have never been seen. I've restored Beatles films back during the Olympics in '88 in Calgary, so you can just have so much fun going through how things used to be, and just being really grateful. So many kids today get all this great gear, they go to film school, they don't produce a film, but just remember, somebody like Charlie Chaplin started out with this and became one of the most famous people of all time, just in black and white silence films. I mean, it made the film industry was little equipment like this. Buster Keaton was another great one. So just tons and tons of fun.